There we go. All right, we are ready to go. I am recording just so we can have notes because this is a working meeting. This is a committee meeting, a team of folk that we are convening to plan a larger event. So if people want to get involved later, we're going to record this just so that we can share later. Um, but good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here for such a serious topic. And at the end of the day, I know the folks that show up for something like this are really concerned and committed and invested in the community and care about children. So for all of you to come here, the VIP, the All Stars, after a long day, I'm very, very grateful for your presence and for your heart and minds and spirits to join us tonight. It is a serious topic. It is a serious conversation. We are at the end of Suicide Prevention Month, and it is our position as the organization. My name is Obari Cartman, the president of the Chicago Association of Black Psychologists. Is our position that this is our issue, that the Black psychologists have to be at the forefront of figuring this thing out, this very unique problem. Um, if, we're talking violence and we're talking economics and we got educators that are dealing with other stuff, but this is ours. Why are Black people, particularly young people, dying by suicide at astronomical rates more recently in this area? Is a question that we have to put our heads and hearts together for and find some solutions for. So that is the intention for our conversation tonight, to take ownership over this problem and to invite some folks to help us, think about some innovative solutions, some effective, impactful solutions, and to model for the city what does it mean to address issues head on and to keep the children at the center of the conversations. So that's what we're here for tonight. I have some special invited guests to help us have this conversation. And again, not conversation so much as planning session. The intention for this is a two-part series where we wanted to bring a small group of folk together to brainstorm, to do some visioning around what it would look like to host an actual in-person, real-life event that talks about suicide prevention that centers children and families. It's something that I have not seen done. It's an ambitious idea, which is why we got to have the right folk at the table to have this conversation. I have children. My son is 9, and I have a 6-year old. And the ABSI, Black Science Psychologist, had a town hall earlier this year addressing the numbers in Cook County that showed us we lost. It was 90 something, 97 Black people in Cook County died by suicide in 2020. And the age range of that was 9 years old to 84 years old. And so the reality of a 9-year old dying by suicide and me having a 9-year old son does not, it does not, I don't miss the critical relevance of having conversations that meet him, that, we can do panels and we could write op-eds and all that kind of stuff, but my son needs to be involved in this conversation if 9-year-olds are dying by suicide. And it's a sad stat, it's a terrible reality, but it's ours to fix. But I believe we can. I believe we're brilliant folk, and I believe when we come together to do this, that we can figure out some stuff to help save our children and to help heal and repair our communities. So thank y'all for being here for this. And it is centered around, and I was inspired to think about this because of the work of Elizabeth Gerald, who is our special guest for this evening. And we had her on a suicide prevention panel maybe 4 years ago, maybe 5 at this point. It was a while ago. And it's just she's such a brilliant, strong, resilient, brilliant woman that like her story stuck with us. Not even the story of what happened, but like her response to it and her work around it. It's just such an inspiring story. And so when she checked in about a month or so ago, just asked me how I was doing, and I said, how you doing? What you been up to? And she had all these things that she's been up to, and she just kept telling me more and more about this, that her movement and her work and the way she has turned her tragedy into triumph in such practical, beautiful, creative ways that I was inspired by it still and wanted to share her with the group and bring other people involved to learn about her story, her daughter, and the work that she's doing on her daughter's behalf. and to use that as a springboard to think about what does it look like to have an engaging, interactive, children, family-centered event that helps with health, wellness, mindfulness, prevention, specifically dealing with suicide. And so that's why we're here today. So I want to go through this pretty quickly. We were talking at the beginning about it being late and folk got children to put to sleep and dinner to eat. So we want to try to just begin this conversation, and we can continue some of it as a committee over, email. We have a commitment from Blue Door Neighborhood to consider hosting this event. We've partnered with Blue Door Neighborhood several times. I have a representative of Blue Door, Aquia, is on the line. Just so y'all know, I'm not making that up. And so we have the pieces at place. We got a center that has been doing brilliant work, and we've really enjoyed our partnerships with Blue Door Neighborhood Center. They have a couple different locations, so we can play around with some of that. We got a child therapist on the line. We have a world-winning educator on the line. We got y'all, people that are doing the work in different ways, and we have a whole organization of Black psychologists, counselors, educators, parents, community activists that I believe we can fix this. And so that's what we're here. We're going to fix this. And it's going to start tonight. And we're just going to begin shaping this conversation about how to begin programming that caters to us culturally and has the children at the forefront of what that means. So that's my intro. That's why we're here. That is the frame for the conversation. And I wanted to begin by introducing Miss Elizabeth to let you know who she is and how, so you can all be as amazed as I am about her work and her strength. Um, I'm sensitive to her deciding to commit to doing this work on behalf of her daughter and committing to being on panels and podcasts and being interviewed. I think she worked on a Netflix doc, which means that she's having to tell this story over and over again. And I've heard it a couple of times and it breaks my heart every time. Like I get sick to my stomach. I cannot imagine what it has to be like for her to have to tell this over and over again. So because of that, I found a clip of her doing another interview. So I didn't want her ask her to come out and then relive that trauma by helping us, get up to speed. So I want to introduce her through a video of her talking, and then ask her to elaborate and to share and to talk about the next steps. But I didn't want her to have to go back and relive this moment again. But it sets the tone for why we're here. So let me, Dr. D, you disable screen sharing. Can you figure out how to undo that?
Okay.
While we're doing that, let's all please take some deep breaths and find a way to get relaxed and comforted and centered and be mindful of taking care of yourself as we do this. There are some very triggering things that we're going to be talking about tonight. So if you have personal experience or if you just empathetic heart and need to take a step away and go get some water and take some breaths, please make sure you take care of yourself while we're doing this. We'll be here when you get back. This is recorded. So
Great. Doc, I only have the option to make you the host. So I'm just
okay,
going to do that, okay?
Yep, that works. Continue to take some deep breaths, relax, look for the tension in your body and let it flow away. Just take care of yourself while we're doing this. And, there's work to do, but you are the work too, right? The healers have to make sure we're taking care of ourselves in the midst of all of this. So don't forget that part. Here we go. Wait, let me do this again. Here we go. Can y'all see my screen? This is a flyer for this event, just to make sure we all in the same place. This is the syllabus. Y'all in the right class. Can somebody unmute and let me know? Y'all can see this?
Yes.
So this is Elizabeth Gerald. This is an interview she did recently talking about her work and her story and introducing her process to us, her tragedy to triumph journey. So we're gonna listen to a little bit of this and then let her speak for
His
us.
father was a predator. His brother was in jail. The sister, lost her kids to DCFS because she had them performing oral sex. So the whole family was just,
In the middle of it.
just not,
Messed up.
just messed up. Yeah.
So tell your story. Start from the beginning. Tell us, first of all, what type of daughter was your daughter like? And tell us what happened.
Well, before the assault, she was an honor roll student, a good kid. She was a silly, teenage girl. She liked to read, she liked to draw. We would feed homeless veterans. She was in Job's Daughter and Rainbow Girls. She did would go hang out with her friends. They go to the park, sometimes the movies. The regular little teenage girl. Um, she was into she had became a state finalist with the beauty pageants. She wasn't in any games. She wasn't out fast. She wasn't walking around with long weaves, makeup, or nothing. She was just an average teenage girl um, who liked to do things, little girls do, play. She stuck up under me. When you seen me, you seen her. When I go grocery shopping, she was with me. Go, bank, she'd go with me. Just a regular, kid.
Right. And so this particular incident happened at school, or was it at, when did this happen?
It happened, it wasn't at school. She had left, I guess, I don't know when, but he had, somehow along the line, he had started spotting her and spotted her. And what he did is, I'm unclear how many days, but I guess he stalked her until he caught her by herself. And then when he caught her by herself, he vicious beat her and he sexually assaulted her. And the rape was so bad to her. They said her ovaries and uterus was inflamed to the point where she couldn't even walk. They gave her tremolols for the pain and swelling, and it was a lot. The police department had referred me to La Rabida, and La Rabida didn't have any beds at that time, so they referred me to the YWCA. The YWCA had older women, so she didn't like it. There was nobody their age, so they referred us to the Laney Foundation, which is where we ended up, and she loved the Laney Foundation. Dr. Summer Matheson was a great doctor. I refer her to anybody. So in the beginning, they would come to my house, and what essentially ended up happening, my daughter became severely depressed, PTSD, so they did homeschool. She recommended that they do homeschool. She was just afraid to want to leave the house. So we did the homeschooling until they found her a therapeutic school to go to. And the therapeutic school was in Naperville, which is a very, affluent neighborhood. And so she still had to keep her grades up. She still had to be on honor roll. But, she was there and she was able to get what she needed. And she started, she managed to get back on the honor roll and get her grades back up. And what essentially happened was, the Flossmoor Police Department, they got this jerk right away. And the thing is, he never denied it. He told the truth. Everything he did, he told her, he admitted to it, but he thought it was funny. And, even when we would go to court, he would just be laughing and looking at us, winking and waving. And what the heck is wrong with him?
Right.
And they would say, well, he's MR. And I'm like, well, what is MR? Mentally retarded. He's slow. He's this, that, and the other. I'm like, yeah, right. He know what he's doing.
Exactly.
He's been in jail before, so he know what he's doing. So it got to the point, it was antagonizing my daughter for him to keep laughing and stuff. So we took a plea deal for 10 years and a life parole. They said that they know he's not going to register when he gets out, never do. So if he's not going to register, why even let him out? He likes little girls and little boys. So it's not just a girl thing. So it's just anybody he can get. This dude is 300 pounds. And if I'd have had, your social media, I was actually sent you his picture. It's the 300-pound dude, and my daughter's 100 pounds. And kids can't fight him off.
So this was a grown man.
Who had just gotten out of prison. He wasn't even supposed to be in Flossmoor. He was supposed to register at a halfway house in Chicago, but he never did. And they said, I guess, the parole officer, I'm assuming, had too many parolees, or whatever it is they call parolees, and they didn't realize that he had went under the radar because they hadn't even realized that he didn't register. And the house he was supposed to register at never said nothing. I don't know if they knew. I don't know if he just got let out and they just like, hey, go, whatever. I'm not sure, but he went under the radar. They wasn't looking for him nothing at the time, but he was, they said he was supposed to actually have been registered at a halfway house in Chicago.
And this all happened in Chicago?
Yeah, well, in Flossmoor. Okay. I live in the suburbs. I don't live in the city of Chicago, but he wasn't supposed to be out there. So,
so what ultimately happened to the guy? Did he go back to prison?
Yeah, we took the plea deal for 10 years and life parole. And like I said, when a
life on parole, but 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he will be able to get out.
Yeah, he'll get out after his 10 years, and then he got life parole. And they said that they know he'll be right back in there because they know he's not going to register. So right. I don't, which is crazy. But after when the judge asked you have anything to speak, when I asked him did he have anything to speak, he just kept laughing, and he ended up telling my daughter, if he wasn't so beautiful, I wouldn't have been attracted to you. So you have nobody to blame but yourself for what I did because I could not help myself. And he did that, and she was already suffering from PTSD and depression and all that from the trauma. And, like I said, it was so bad she couldn't walk. And it would be times she would just sit in a tub and just scrub herself raw. She stopped wanting to get her hair did. She stopped wanting to, get her nails did. She stopped, she started wearing like big black joggings or dark blue joggings, dark green, anything that was dark. She didn't want to look pretty anymore. So when he told her that just really just made it worse. And,
take your time.
Yeah, she subsequently took the bottle of Tramadol that was prescribed to her. And the day that happened, it was I was just so upset and stuff. I was doing laundry and I was like up and down the stairs, and I would ask her, "Are you hungry? Do you need anything?" And she kept saying no. And then about 10, she had asked me, 10 or 11, she asked me to run her some bath water. And she wanted lavender oil, and I believe it was chamomile, if I'm not mistaken, 2 different types of oils in it. So I made her bath, and I said, "Do you need anything else?" And so she was in the tub, and I kept asking, "Hey, are you okay in there?" And she would say, "Yeah, Mom, I'm okay." And I finished doing laundry. Then I laid down maybe a little after 11. I laid down because I was tired. So she came downstairs maybe a little after 12 midnight and said, "I love you, Mommy." And I said, "I love you too, baby." And there was nothing different because when I tell my kids I love them all the time, they tell me the same thing.
Right.
She said, "Can I lay down with you?" And I said, "Yeah." So she laid down with me, and she was on me, and I was holding her. And then we went to sleep. And at 6 a.m. when I woke up, I had to get up to go do what I had to do. I said, "Marcy, wake up," and nothing happened. And I said again, "Marcy, wake up," and still nothing. So I said, "Marcy," and I set her up over me, and I jumped up and I'm screaming, "Marcy, wake up." And I couldn't do nothing. And I am visually impaired, so I couldn't really see her face. My vision is like -17. So I ran to the stairs and screamed for my son to come down. And he says, "What's wrong, Mom?" I said, "I don't know. I can't wake Marcy up." So he ran down the stairs, looked over the banister, and said, "Mom, call 911." And I called 911, and I said, "There's something wrong with my daughter. I can't wake her up." And they were there. I mean, just like that. Keith laid her on the floor. He was the chief of police at the time. He laid her on the floor, and he started CPR. I ran the bathroom, brushed my teeth, and washed my face real quick. I came back. I hear the paramedics saying we gotta rush her to the hospital. So I threw on my house shoes and ran out behind them. And my son came to us and said, "Mama, what happened? What's wrong?" I said, "I don't know."
We can pause there. I'll put the link in the chat for anyone who wants to watch the whole interview. But I wanted to pause here. My heart is racing. I just hate the story so much. But more, as much as I hate the story, I'm just in complete awe of what you, Miss Elizabeth, have done since then, um, and what I very much consider a resurrection of your daughter in a way to honor her and to help others. Um, it's just hard to even conceive of the strength it takes you to continue to push forward and do this work, and not even just like stay alive and not even just like survive, but to thrive and to help others. Like I feel like I would be under a rock, but you out here doing this, and this is what the nonprofit that you founded after your daughter, um, the MJG movement. Be the voice, be the reason, be the light. Children's advocacy organization dedicated to serving as a resource for children and families that are victims of sexual abuse and suicide. And what brings us here today is when you shared with me your newest work, where you have resurrected your daughter to the point of being a superhero who inspires and helps and transforms the lives of other vulnerable people. Um, I just think it's so brilliant. So I wanted to share this to help, wash away the ugliness of what happened and bring the beauty of who you are and who Marcy is to the space so that we can continue to build on that, to not wallow in the ugly, but to grow from the beauty. And all your work is that for me. Just wanted to share. This is just some snippets from the comic book that is fresh off the press that she just released. It's just really well done. It's just really inspiring. I would love for you to share with us, the story and some of the plans you have for the comic book. You also have a coloring book, Black Girl Resilience, with Marcy as a superhero again, comforting and inspiring little Black girls to be seen and understood and to understand that they are stardust and that they can accomplish anything that they want. And it's even better with support from Marcy and um, who Marcy is now. Um, you also have some teas that you're selling, and I really appreciated the the repair of the cosmetic part of who Marcy is, the beauty, the confidence, those aspects of her. Um, so that is what brought us to this space today. I wanted people to see your work and to hear what you are doing in your daughter's honor and to help us think through how to bring it to life, how to bring it to families, how to make it a interactive healing space for children, for families, centering the comic books, the coloring books, products, and other resources that we have to support you. I really want to know, how can we support you in general, but also specifically, what would be a vision for an event with educators and parents and healers and child therapists and people coming together around your movement to bring programming to the city. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Elizabeth Gerald, and you have the floor to tell us more about what you've been working on. What you're working on, how can we help you?
Thank you again for having me. With the comic books, I'm working with producers from Marvel, and we're working on turning it into a Black Girl Resilient superhero movie, or cartoon, animation, whatever we're going to do with that. Hopefully by the end of this year, beginning next year, that'll be out. I'm actually doing my documentary. I should be done filming that, I think, next week. We've got a few more things to do. And that'll be on Netflix and Bravo. The coloring books, the comic books, the jewelry, the makeup, everything that I have, it's I think it's on my website. If not, we gotta upload it. But I sell this, a lot of stuff. I go to events.
I heard you say something about a safe house. You building a safe house? What is that?
Huh?
The safe house? I just heard about a safe house.
We're doing a safe house too. Cook County Land Bank is donating me property. They told me so far they have 2 houses in Country Club Hills, one in Riverdale, and different parts of Chicago. I told them I don't want to be in a really bad gang infested areas because I'm working with females and I don't want nobody to get hurt or, I just don't want the mess, no drama or, so they're going to be donating us something and hopefully by the end of this year, we'll fix it up and have a grand opening. And with that, I'll start with the safe house. With the safe house, what we're going to do is like each family will be different, whatever they need. If they need somewhere to stay, the ones that need somewhere to stay, they can stay there because we help with housing now. Some people just need resources for jobs or incomes. If that's what they need, then we can help them with that. Some people may need us to go to court or, help them get like restraining orders or, whatever they need as far as the courts. Some people may need help with food. But when you go through our program, what I plan on doing is helping them, like, even the youth too, because the youth are doing a lot of these carjackings. I don't think people realize that. But what I do is give them some kind of trade. So we have people that were different trades like plumbing, electrical, welding, bricklayering, contractors. They don't come in there and teach them how to do those different things. And, those people who want to learn that can learn that. We have people from different, medical fields. We have a few nurses that'll be coming in. We have somebody, an x-ray technician, just different people from medical fields that'll come in and volunteer and, teach. And if that's what they want to get into, the different celebrities, I know whether it's acting, actors, singing, they'll come and teach them how, whatever classes, if they want to get in dance classes or singing class, whatever they need to get in that aspect or, whatever it is they need to get into as far as helping them, get a job, whether it's doing hair, cutting hair, whatever it is. We plan on helping them with that. I work
Okay,
with.
wait, hold on, Mama. Take a breath. What do you need help with?
You know what? And I do so much.
I hear it. I was angry at first, and then I was sad, and now I'm tired just hearing about all the things you're doing. This is a
Yeah.
win-win of emotion. What do you need help with?
Probably a lot of like volunteering. Once we get the safe house open, we would need people to come in there and maybe volunteer and help with them. I don't know what everybody does.
Okay.
And a lot of advocacy, letting people know about me, my movement, my organization, getting it out there more. So helping promote a lot of the stuff I do. Just stuff like that is what I can really use a lot of help with.
Okay. So I get that in general. So like, the community can help with those things. Is there any specific help that you could use from an organization of psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, therapists? That's
Yeah, we are.
anything
I mean, once we
specifically?
get the safe house, we're gonna need people to come in there and maybe help with counseling or therapy. Because, I think with these carjackings, it's a lot of youth that are doing it. And we don't know what goes on in these houses. A lot of women get guys or boyfriends that ain't no good. They might be beating on them. They may not have no food. They may not have whatever, but it's a reason. It starts at home, believe it or not. And whatever happens at home, it triggers off into the streets. Sometimes you get women, just get out my house and I can't take it, or I can't do this, it's that, or, sometimes women just overwhelmed, don't know what to do, but it does start and it ends at home. So whatever happens at home, it triggers off. I met a kid at the juvenile and he was 14 and he's being, this was a couple of years ago, being charged as an adult because he tried to rob a Cook County sheriff. And the thing is, the boy walked up to him and pulled his toy gun out. The sheriff had his real gun and the kid dropped his gun and said, please don't shoot, it's a toy gun. And, the kid, he ended up holding the kid down until the police came and got him. And, the little boy ended up telling me that his mother told him, hey, I guess we're getting evicted. Something happened with them needing money for rent or something. But his mother told him, well, you're the man in this house. Get the money by all means necessary. Who tells a 14-year-old that? So it's a lot of stuff that goes on that we don't see. So a lot of these kids need therapy. A lot of these kids need counseling. So I could really use a lot of help with stuff like that.
Okay.
And I do a lot of events. When I reached out to you, I had just did an event with the Indian Medical Association. And everybody there, I was the only one of us that was there. There was no black people there. Everybody was white. And that's why I was telling you, I wish more of us would come out, stigmas. And that's why I get out, because of the stigmas and taboos. I know people that would rather say their child died of cancer or something versus a suicide. And I just think it's crazy, because the pain is the same. My kids are not coming back. But we need to start working together and trying to figure out what's happening in these houses. If it's the parents need counseling, the kids or whatever, and that's what I can really use you guys for help with stuff like that.
Okay.
Because that Indian panel I was on, they really they for their community, and I mean
Mm-hmm.
it was a lot of women there crying, but it's like the whole families would be there. I was the only Black person there, but every person that was there, it was the mother, it was the father, the grandparents were there, the siblings were there. So I mean, it was like whole families. And you didn't see there was not one Black person there, not one.
Yeah.
And we need more of that.
Okay. Well, that's a great segue. That's what we're here for. We're trying to start to begin to plan things like that that are specifically geared for us, that have our culture, our people in mind. So with that, please stick around. I want to introduce two other folks that is going to help us have this conversation. But then I'm going to open the floor. It's just going to be an open brainstorming session. Just want to hear ideas and thoughts. And the question is, what could an event look like? We're planning an event. I want to remind us of that. It's going to be hosted by Blue Door. If we can work that out, we need to think about the logistics, the sequence, the activities, the feel of it. Like, what it will look like. How do we center your work? How do we, bring the comic book to life? How do we bring the coloring books to life? How do we incorporate other wellness activities or mindfulness, and yoga, and breathing and drums? Like, how do we do this? And also, not have it just be like a fun event, but specifically address suicide. I wonder, because I don't know how to do. I don't even know what this looks like. That's why I wanted to put this together. Is because like I don't know what an event will look like where my son can come and hear that a 9-year-old committed suicide or died by suicide last year, and not I don't know, not be depressed by that or not have that.
What though?
Right? Yeah.
Something that's was because of social media, these kids be knowing more
They
than we know.
exposed to so much stuff. Absolutely.
They're exposed to so much.
Right.
Like I said, in the other event I went to, the whole families were there. They had the kids, the grandparents. Right. It was every age.
Right.
These kids know so much now. I mean, and they may even know somebody who committed suicide.
Absolutely.
Suicide is so high.
Absolutely.
But I think
we get to talk about it.
We have to, and the thing is, it's so necessary because with all this bullying and stuff that goes on social media and at school and wherever, you just don't know what your mindset your child can be in. They may be depressed and you thinking, well, I don't want to talk about it and not
Absolutely. So that's the challenge. It's an ambitious challenge. So we need to have the serious conversations. I want children to be able to ask questions of counselors and therapists and you and parents. I want us to be able to talk and help us as parents and families figure out how to help them process their access to information. Like through the quarantine meant that they was at home while the parents at work with their big cousins watching whatever they was watching. My son goes right to YouTube shows. They having serious talks and whatever these serious shows they talk about. And so I gotta keep up with it and help him process what that means. And I think that we as a community need to come together to help look at what that, how to do that in the best way.
Right.
So I got an educator I want to introduce. Her name's Candace Washington. I'm going to introduce some of her work. I can show you better than I can tell you. She connects with us through the partnerships with Blue Door often. We've done some events with her nonprofit, Brown Books and Paintbrushes. And she specializes in this question. How do you take literacy, bring it to life, and have it be engaging and interactive? This is an event that she was doing on Independence Day. This is one of my favorite things we did with Brown Books and Paintbrushes. It was a father reading circle, a book about drums and ancestors. We had a reading circle, and we had fathers reading and drumming, and families there. Then we got up and started dancing. So this is the kind of activities we were making drums. This is the last thing we did with Blue Door, a heart healthy event where they were doing yoga. And there's a book called Black Owned, Black Author, Black Illustrator about mindful moves that I'd love for her to tell us about. The event we did before at Blue Door was similar. We've had a book around wellness where the kids were doing activities where they could have these jars where they could learn how to breathe and decompress and make banjos and had fingers and mix. So this is what she does. Curate these kind of events for children, for families. She's an award-winning educator. She's really brilliant at this very particular thing. So I wanted her to be here to help us see through a vision of taking your comic books and your coloring books and curating an event that had children at the forefront. We often have children as an afterthought. We do an event and we're like, oh yeah, well, what if somebody bring their kids? We can, put them in the corner and play Legos. But she centers all of her events around prioritizing children and wellness. And so I just thought she would be really useful conversation. And then the next guest I asked was child therapist who I recently met on Instagram, and I don't meet a lot of child therapists, so she stood out to me. Sister Shakira Smith, who works for an organization called Boundlessly Grow Boundlessly. So I want to introduce both of them at the same time. She is a child and adolescent therapist. She teaches yoga, specializes in meditation and aromatherapy and trauma. And you can read her bio just a little bit. I'll put a link for it in the chat also. But I want to introduce those two guests and have them speak first if they have any fresh ideas or thoughts from the conversation we've had so far. And then open the floor for everyone just to chime in. And you can, you don't have to do it verbally if you can use the chat to just, share some ideas. What would you want the event to look like? How would you want your children to be involved? If you're a parent, if you're a grandparent, like I want this to be a personal, intimate thing, but really that caters to children's wellness, and does all these things all at one time. It's a lot to do, but again, I think we can figure it out if we put our hearts and minds together. Candace and Shakira. I'll go Candace first. Yeah. Candace, do you have anything? What comes to mind? Any ideas popping up? Do you have any things to share from your perspective as an educator around early childhood wellness and literacy that could help us flesh this thing out? Are you here?
Hey everybody, can y'all hear me?
Mhm.
Mic check, mic check, mic check. Can you hear me? Okay, cool. Hey everybody, I'm Candace. Thank you so much, Miss Elizabeth, for sharing that story. It's so important. What always comes to mind is that how we show up for children through the highest equality all the time, from the aesthetics to the way things look, from the way they are received through the door, through what music is playing, what we feed them at the moment, the language that we use, and who's volunteering. All of that matters. The appropriateness and the cultural relevance to the activities that's going on. Abari said it, and he know that's my pet peeve, right? When it's a family event, children are welcome, and then it's like hula hoops and chalk in the corner, right? And then it's like hot Cheetos and hot dogs, and the DJ Jack in your body the whole time. Like it's just like, what? This for kids, right? Or even the indoor spots, right? Kids can come, but be quiet, shush through the whole program, they sitting in chairs, and the chairs are pointy. I'm looking at furniture. I'm coming in. I'm looking at everything, right? So yeah, that's my my focus during any event. Educators should absolutely always be at the table when planning anything for children. And when I say educators, this example is right. So since the racial tension, since the George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement, there's this race, right, for literacy, with adults and children, right? But then the children's books, especially children's books featuring Black children, skyrocketed. I don't know if y'all know this, but 90%. It went all the way up, right? And I get a lot of these books from the work that I do, and the words are off, like the illustration is bad. Nobody's consulting educators when they do these things. So that's my takeaway, y'all. If we gonna do this, we gotta show up and we gotta show out. Yep.
Are there any activities that come to mind immediately when you saw the images of the comic book and the coloring book? What would that look like as an interactive activity for the range of children that might show up?
So anytime that we're holding an event for children, right? I think children, so moms that's pregnant, so neonatal that might show up, and then all the way 17, 18 years old. And then I'm always prepared for adults who may have questions, right? And so stations, right? Because everybody got all of these different developmental levels. Language needs to be different. So I'm thinking stations, right? With a comic books, right? We buy paper, we print out paper of little comic boxes or whatever, and let those children create their own stories, right? We have examples of Elizabeth's book at that station. And when you think comic books, you think right, when you talk about language and literacy and art development, you thinking like middle school or maybe even second, third grade. And then you think about conversation areas, carpets, with things that you know that children like to do, right? So maybe Lego building, but then you have educators and Shakira, right? In those areas. What you building? Help me, let me build this with you. And then start talking about this building is tall, like the building my mother worked at, or the building that we live in. And this is the place that we sit down and we have dinner at. But I be so tired sometimes. I have dinner on the couch. And then start having those conversations. But sometimes I don't like having dinner on the couch. You like having dinner on the couch, or do you eat at the table with your mama? What y'all talk about? Like, start having those conversations, right? But that's, and another thing that I always do at all of my events, I don't know if anybody ever came or noticed that I'm very particular about who volunteers with me. Most of the volunteers are early childhood educators. My mother come with me everywhere. She's a home daycare. She has a home daycare. So all of that matters to me, because those conversations, that language, those takeaways, all of that matters. All of that matters every time and anytime we hold anything for children. So
Real quick, you got that mindfulness book on you? Can you show that?
I do. So this is the all right. So every event that I have is led through literacy, right? I automatically do my research. So when Blue Door invited me to an event, it was called Jumpstart Your Heart. I thought about the physical, but I automatically thought about the mental too. What's inside of your heart, right? That's noise in the background. what's inside of your heart, right? So we look for black books by black authors and black illustrators, but they also have to be of high quality, right? So I got to research, I got to vet these books. I go to my people, the Conscious Kid, Black Education Matters. I go to the Coretta Scott King Book Awards, and I look for these books that are in correlation with these events. So, and then I buy them up and I give them away at the event. So I always show up with about 100 books. And they're all high quality. They're all in line with the event. So this is Mindful Movements by Nicole Cardozo, who is founder of Well and Mental. And this is 40 creative ways to promote self-confidence, focus, and positive thinking for young children, right? So it's all about prevention. She teach through animals, I am royalty, how to think positive thoughts. There's one where she's asking children to take a mental picture and practice observing your amazing world. It was one that I was just reading, looking through it. Well, it said, take a break, just lay down in the grass, right? So connecting with the earth, right? And just take a break, right? So that's how we show up all the time. I show up like that. It's always some art piece, because we know that art is therapy also. So there's always some really high quality art piece. And when I say art piece, I'm bringing paint, I'm bringing easels, I'm bringing canvas, like real canvas for them to take home, see their art. It's always connected to the literacy piece that we bring. I bring it's always a free play activity, right? Because we have different developmental appropriate stages with art and literacy. So I throw out just like a big giant piece of paper. I have all sorts of art mediums with me all the time. And this is always free, always, always, always free to our community. So, yeah.
Love it. Okay, stick around, Candace. And you said something earlier that I just wanted to be on record about the experience of a child walking into a room where they see all the deliberateness and the care, and they have that reaction like, oh man, somebody loves me this much to put this energy and attention into this and to give me things and to cater to me, that all by itself has a healing element to it, right? And they can feel the opposite of that if they walk in and say, "Oh wait, I was an afterthought. They didn't even," right? So there's something that's communicated in the planning and the
Yep.
layout and the greetings and all that kind of stuff. And so I want us to have that in mind. I want a child to walk in and say, "Man, somebody loves me," as soon as they walk in the door. And
Ari,
Shakira, yes.
Obari.
Hold on one more second. I
Hi.
have one more guest, Shakira. She's going to speak first, and then the floor is wide open. Shakira, you still here? So I asked Shakira to
Yes,
come. Child therapist. You can say more about who you are. We read your bio a little bit, but I just wanted to get a quick moment to share your thoughts, your visions about this event.
yes. I'm gonna keep it short. It's so nice to meet everyone. Miss Elizabeth, I was deeply touched by your story. I have such a soft spot for kids. I always have to remind myself to when I'm being too mean to myself to like be nice to myself because like I would never talk to a child the way I talk to myself sometimes. And kids are smarter than people give them credit for. And the word suicide, a lot of especially in the Black community, like people think like if I mention suicide, if I talk about suicide, I'm promoting this action. Like, oh, I can't talk about that. This is gonna and like that's not true. Like it's uncomfortable, but like we have to like find ways where we could just talk about it with the kids. And kids are really really smart, and like that's the thing. Adults, they underestimate kids. Like you can draw with children, you can paint with them, like you learn so much from like using art. And like when Candace was speaking, I went and got my books. Like I'm all for just seeing little Black boys and girls like in books, you know. Like I didn't have this like growing up, like with her natural hair, like hair like mine. Like I needed this, you know, when I was younger. And I was just like, for a kid to tell me like, oh, I you're a therapist, you're Black. Like I didn't have any like Black therapists and like teachers. I didn't get my first Black teacher until middle school. So I go really, really hard for the children. I think for the event, we need to have like different like stations set up for like toddlers, and then have stuff for you know, those adolescents, like teenagers, like they listen to music. So like maybe find like a song or an artist that they like and like really like dissect like the words. Like, what do you think this means? Like there's ways like we can reach all the kids, and like there's difficult conversations through the music, like these artists, like and the teens and the kids, they understand like what they're saying. So any event with like Candace said, paint, art, music, food, and I'm not just hot dogs, like have like real food besides like hot dogs and chips and stuff. And kids, and especially teens, like they have like their guard up, but if they feel like they could trust you, they will open up. Like, you know, and I know what it's like to be a teenager. Like nobody understands me type of thing. But if they feel like they could trust you, they will pour their heart out and stuff. And I feel like everyone needs that, you know, like they want to feel safe, they want to feel heard. So and there's ways. I'm trying to think of like some ideas of like what we can do. So I'll brainstorm. I've already reached out to my supervisor, and she said she's willing to do whatever we can to like help plan this event. I don't have anything off the top of my head, but I do feel inspired. Um, do you have any questions for me?
No, that's good. We don't we can brainstorm. I want to just begin the conversation. So if you have ideas, I'm gonna start an email thread with everybody on here. So when people come with resources, we can just start to put things together. We're probably gonna do this in November.
Okay.
So early mid-November. And November means we are preparing families for what could be a really dark season for folks, right? We're talking seasonal affective disorder. We're talking to get cold outside. We're talking about the holidays. this particular holiday is going to be really hard for a lot of people who it's hard, like the quarantine and COVID's made it hard to realize when we lose people because we don't see nobody. And there's been times I'm at an event like, oh wait, like Conrad World is not going to show up. Like, oh wait, he passed, right? I think the holiday is going to be that for a lot of people. We're going to remember who we lost in the holiday season. So we got to prepare people to guard, to arm them for this season. So it'll be right in time for that. So it's a lot to do. Like it's a really important, you know what I'm saying, moment. So we're looking at November. Blue Door likes to get their calendar stuff early. So within a week or two, I would love to look at a date and find something we all can agree on. Think about whether or not it want to be a Saturday or after evening or whatever it is. So if we can shape those logistics and then come up with the stations and the content along the way, that would be a good meeting for me for today. And y'all can use the chat. So like, don't wait for the talking. If y'all got ideas or resources or things that are coming to your mind as we're talking, please feel free to put it in the chat. We don't have to even stay long. I just wanted to introduce everybody so people can get a sense of who we have on board, who the team is, and hopefully you become a part of that, and then just start to shape this thing bit by bit as we go along.
I just thought.
So I had
She had one more quick statement, and then Dr. Durr, and then Dr. D. I got you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah, I was just thinking of like doing like a table with something with like essential oils and like aromatherapy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'll work on that for you.
I love it. Dr.
good evening, everybody. Sorry that I arrived late. I was kind of held up. Good evening, Miss Goddess Candace. How you doing? So
Hey.
hey, so I am a physician and my specialty is child, adolescent, and adult psychiatry. For the other members that are present here, and I'm also an author and a poet and a speaker. So my suggestions were two things: one, to kind of build on what Miss Elizabeth is doing. The thing that came to me is to have something for the kids where you ask them, you know, if you could, you know, or if what would you wish your superpower to be, and then have them build that as for themselves to be a superhero, right? So that would be one suggestion, and then the other suggestion is, again, because also from the writing and speaking, would be to have something the kids where they could do some writing, you know, maybe some poetry, and then maybe even have them do like some spoken word.
I love it. Dr. D, I'm taking notes while we're talking.
Yeah, I was just thinking more logistically. Like, I love the idea of the stations, of whatever is going to be done at those stations, but just keeping in mind the social distancing aspect and wearing masks and just staying safe in that regard. Like, if we're going to be using tools and supplies and things like that, keeping that in mind, especially when it gets colder outside. You know, the cold and flu season, and then we are still in a pandemic.
Didn't open Microsoft Word.
That is a good point.
I would like to suggest that maybe for teenagers and even kids in 7th and 8th grade, that that level, that perhaps we could do something like have them to write raps. And my son is in media, and at one point was he still is. I guess once a rapper, you're always a rapper. But some of the raps on YouTube deal with suicide that were written by some of it, I guess, by teenagers. I attended a presentation he did, and he was talking about how important it is for parents to understand that aspect of children how they use the raps to express their emotions and their feelings and their thoughts at different times. The other thing I want to mention is when I was teaching years ago, I had a group of students that we went to Robert Taylor Homes and we worked with kids in 3rd and 4th grade. And we created stories and told them our stories. Actually, we read them, we taped it, it was research, so it was taped, but it was storytelling. And then at the end of the story, we would ask them what they thought would happen to the child and how the child would feel in that situation. Some of the stories were about being afraid to go to school because of gang activity, because that was one of the issues that they were experiencing. Recently, though, I've been working with a young man who is very depressed and at one point was suicidal. And he's, how old is he? He's 7. And so the last session I had with him, I found this book that was, I thought, he's probably not gonna like this. It's about an unhappy kangaroo. And so I started reading it, and he said, "That's how I feel." And it allowed him to really talk quite a bit about his own feelings. So I think something like storytelling would be useful. Helping kids to create raps. At my church, we did an event where we had the kids to create raps around violence prevention. And first we put them in smaller groups, and thinking about the pandemic, maybe what we can do is do something, the stations can be small group wise, and then come together in a larger group.
So I had that question. Is there a moment when there is one thing happening that everybody is exposed to, or is the whole thing sort of specialized in stations?
If we do a larger group, one idea is to create an altar altogether for those who have lost folks to whatever, right? I know, especially I work on the west side of Chicago, my 9 to 5, and I work with a predominantly Latinx community, and Day of the Dead is coming, De los Muertos is coming, and we watching Coco, we talking about ofrendas, we creating altars. And one of the things that I do tell my children, I take pictures of my altar and I say, hey, that's part of my African spirituality too. And this is what my altar look like. This is my, and this is how we remember our loved ones, and we feed them and we talk to them just like you do. And that'll be one way to connect in that larger group. And I just want to say one thing. I think now the new normal is to always expect that we gonna sanitize and we gonna wear masks. I don't think nobody gonna walk into any place at this point without thinking it's gonna be hand sanitizer and masks around. So I just want to put that out there. But yeah, that's a good way to gather. But because I'm thinking if we gonna create this, in a family, a social setting where there'll be just this number of age groups, stopping a baby from doing these children from doing all of these wonderful, exciting, meaningful activities that was planned just for them, and say, stop. Well, now we're gonna talk and it's time to sit down and listen. That's not gonna work. It's not gonna be effective anyway. They might sit there and listen, but it's gonna be one of these. So yeah. You're on mute, Obari. Oh, okay.
We are looking at Saturday, November the 6th after 3 o'clock right now. Anybody opposed to that, or right at 3 o'clock? Can you get there at 3, Shakira?
I can get there at 3.
Okay. I wouldn't want it to be much later than that. 3 to 5.
I was gonna say 3 seems kind of late on a Saturday. Is there any reason why it can't be like a 1 or
We would
Well,
love.
Dr. D, when we talking kids though, right? So we talking about Saturday is always day event time, right? It's soccer, it's whatever they got going on Saturdays, which is really happening now in the fall. So 3, that time will actually be perfect because that's after lunch. So they go home, they eat, it's after lunch. Mommy and daddy can gather themselves and get them back out by 3 and back home for dinner and that and go to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like my son is in something till noon.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
thank you, because I don't know. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
So let's just pick 3. Can we just agree to that? The more we just pick and agree to, so much easier.
Yeah, I see clients in the morning. That's why I said 3. That way, if I need to reschedule somebody, I could move them to like another day. I could just block off.
It is done.
Or tell them to come to our thing, Shakira. Meet you there.
Now it's done. November 6th, 3 o'clock. We have a target time date. I would like to buy a stack of comic books. How does that work? Do we need to fundraise? I want to make sure, I don't want people to come and buy her book. I want to give them away. Maybe that's something, I just want to put that out there. Maybe if people got access to this little small pots of grants or something like that. And you have the coloring book that's printed and bound too? You unmute if you're talking.
I would be willing to see if I could get
Okay.
my church they have a foundation. It's a lot of money. It's just been sitting. So during the pandemic anyway, I could bring it to our session. I can't promise it. I'll try.
No, I'll take it.
See if I can get them to purchase some for the event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like it.
How many thinking of?
Are we talking 50, 60 people max? So 50, 60 books?
Okay. How much is that?
Miss Elizabeth, how much your books cost? $5? No,
Okay.
$5 for the comic book too?
That's only
You on mute.
You on mute.
I'm mute.
The comic book is $5. The coloring books are free.
You killing me.
Well, what do you want me to do? $2?
No, I want the comic book 10 minimum because proceeds goes to the nonprofit.
Okay.
You're not even just talking about like just the printing costs. You using the comic book as a fundraiser for your other events. You got work you're doing.
You know
I
what
would pay $10 without thinking about it.
You know how much it cost me to have it made?
How much?
$1,200.
For how many? How many?
I had my comic books made. Yeah, because I had to get somebody to pay somebody to help me with the script. Had to get somebody to pay me with the drawing. Had to get somebody. So we can go as low as $2.
No, you're going the wrong direction. You're going lower.
Oh,
I'm saying higher.
You were saying it was too much.
No. $5 is way too low. I would start
for a good reason.
I would start at $10 because you're gonna be in network. You talking about being in a room full of white people? Those are where you sell your comic book.
White people, yeah, I'm gonna charge them because they're gonna pay for it. But I know a bunch of black people.
Mm-hmm.
Way to keep it real, Miss Elizabeth.
I ain't gonna lie, when I was with the white people, they pay for it though.
Five is too little, for black and for white people, in my opinion.
Oh.
Okay. And so I would say 5 for the coloring book and 10 for the comic book.
Okay.
Now, for people looking for to buy a box of them, so Dr. Evans, if you can pitch that, $5 for a comic book, 50 per. If there's money for that, I would also like, this is a strange idea. I mean, we brainstorming. This is a vision section. So if we talk about creating their own comic books, some kids can draw and some kids can't. Would it be possible or would it make sense to get some extra comic books that we can cut up and have a little like, I don't know, figurines that they can copy and paste and make their own comic books without having to draw from scratch, but to move the figures around and create their own stories? It means we buy
Well, if
we can
she
cut them up.
right, if she give us the PDF, if she give us a
That's what
PDF, we can print them out and then we can just like cut them out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then we can like play around with it. We can take baby girl costume off and the
Yeah.
kids can like draw themselves inside of the and
Yeah.
make them larger for our children with whole hand movements. Maybe even we buy that long paper and let them create themselves, like somebody trace their entire bodies, like them posing in their superpowers too.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could do that for the superhero.
Yep, all that works.
Yeah. And Miss Elizabeth, I just asked my son, he's 16, how much his comic book is. He said $10.
Oh, absolutely.
Easy, $10, easy.
And so, and that book, because I was looking at it, the illustrations are marvelous. They're wonderful, right?
Yeah.
Like you're talking to Marvel right now.
Right.
Yeah, that's come on now. Yeah. And Miss Helen was saying something, Obari, but we couldn't hear her.
Oh,
She
Dr.
was saying
Evans,
something.
what I missed?
You didn't hear what I said. I would try to see if I can get it approved through our session.
I think we heard that. I think we heard everything. I don't know what Candace missed.
I do need is Miss Elizabeth's information and everything in the is it in the where are you going to send it to us, Obari?
Yeah, can you put your website in the chat for now, and then maybe we can send some images of the.
Put what chat? I don't know how to do that.
What's your website?
I'll text it to you.
Okay.
I'll text everything to you or email it to you, and then you go from there.
Okay. Because there's a group that I'm co-chair for that meets Sunday. Maybe we can make it go through us. That way, it go fast. That's the only problem. I know I can probably get it done, but I don't know if I'll get money by November 6th.
Even if they can commit it, somebody can put it up and get it back.
Okay. I'll just work on it then.
Dr. Turner, he got stashes. He's sitting on a mattress full of cash, so let's get back to him.
Right.
It is.
In fact, we had a church member that sent us a letter fussing that you haven't given anything out since the pandemic happened. But I think people have been depressed and just kind of basically.
That's why we're doing this, yeah. 8:45. I want to wrap this thing. I think this is good just to brainstorm, get the wheels turning. We can continue to. I'll share the recording and the email. Ask people who want to get on the committee. We can continue to brainstorm and share ideas and resources online. We have our membership meeting second Saturday, so we can continue this conversation then. But if there's any pressing thoughts or last minute things, Dr. Mateen got dolls. I don't know if you want to speak through the dolls or if this show tell, but I feel like you want to say something about those dolls, and we can wrap on that.
You said figurines, these bend. So I have the whole sand tray set up. Not that we had to have the sand, but these bend. You were talking about figurines for the younger kids. So there's no, all ages actually, there's no drawing involved.
Yeah.
You can quickly bend these into whatever. You don't have to, it takes time to draw.
That could definitely be a station for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like what she said. She said we don't have to use a sand tray, but what about a station full of mindfulness tools, right? As much as those children don't, them poppet things. Oh, it's just so many of them, and they come through my classroom like 15 a day. But those are also mindfulness tools. When they pop those little bubbles, it's like 1,000 of them on the tray. So just having a table full of mindfulness tools that maybe they can even take when they leave.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. D, hashtag COVID.
True. I love it. I'm excited. I think we're gonna pull this off. I think it's gonna be amazing, and I think people are gonna be inspired and want to recreate it all around the country. So let's keep this momentum going. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Miss Elizabeth, for using your courage and your strength to inspire all of this creativity from yourself and from the rest of the team. And with that,
you.
I'm gonna wrap this. Thank y'all for coming. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your evening. I'll send out any notes through email. If anybody has anything they want to share, send it to me, and I'll make sure the group gets it. And yeah.
So Ovaria, just two things really quickly. Obviously, I would like to make sure people had the link to my podcast, because of course, suicide is one of the topics I talk about, depression and addiction. So you have that already. So
you can put it in the chat right now if you want.
Okay, that's gonna take me a minute.
Okay.
How about Obari just
I'll send it in the email. When I send the email out,
I was gonna say because I know you. Yeah, because I know you have.
It'll be a link to this video. It'll be a link to your podcast. It'll be a link to Elizabeth's website. So I'll do a comprehensive email.
Okay, great. And then the other thing too, I just wanted to throw this in there, which is, and I'm not sure how we're going to do this in terms of the different stations and things, but one of the things that I think is important is for us to reframe the conversation. And part of reframing the conversation is there's what you see on the news and all this talk about is homicides. Well, in fact, suicides occur at twice the rate of homicides. And nobody's talking about that, which is huge, disinformation or lack of information about the reality of that. So I think that needs to be an important point that we communicate to people. And then the other part of that, to me, is also reframing the conversation in terms of helping people understand the importance of brain health. And, because everything that we think, feel, do, your ability to see, your ability to enjoy food, your ability to move, to dance, to draw, to create, to be mindful is coming through your brain.
So I would love for you to help me. I would love for you to help think about how you would teach brain health to my 9-year-old. What would that look like? What would it taste like, feel like? What is an interactive activity where my 9-year-old can understand from a psychiatrist how to take better care of his brain?
Well, one of the ways is cartoon. The United Kingdom has a wonderful video on just that, and it's really it's animated, and it shows how different traumas, in a simplistic way that a 9-year-old could understand how it affects your vision on the world, how it affects your outlook on the world. It's called childhood. And it's called Childhood and Trauma, actually.
Okay, send me that. There's TVs in the room. We could play video. We choose what videos we play.
That's what I was thinking when Dr. Ballin was talking. I was thinking, and maybe one of those stations could be like a little TV station where a 10 or 15 minute, not even that long, maybe a 5 to 10 minute program.
It's only 5 minutes long. It's 5 minutes long. It's well done. As a matter of fact, I'm doing it Monday at the South. We're having a trauma symposium for the next 4 days, Monday through Thursday, in South Chicago. It's free. Wow. So I'll send it. I think you guys have it. I'll send it. I'll send it to you. But I'm doing that on the first day. Childhood and Trauma by the United Kingdom. I'll send it.
Good stuff. All right, y'all. My boys are hungry and sleepy. Thank y'all so much for your brilliant minds and kind hearts. And y'all get some rest.
Elizabeth.
I just ate my beans and charred, so I'm feeling good.
You're gonna take a nap on your mattress full of cash now.
Yeah, right. Okay.
All right, y'all. Good night.
Namaste. Namaste.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Just be your wonderful selves.
Good to see you again, Dr. Ballin.
Oh, good to see you too, honey. Love the hair.